Since this is a new player's guide, I will start by saying that all characters can apply a maximum of 1 curse on an enemy at all times. These do not stack if you are playing with your friends. However, you can increase this limit by using specific items or passives that grant you enemies can have 1 additional curse. This still only applies to the player with the item or passive, meaning that your friends are still limited to 1 curse per monster. There are numerous other ways to alter how curses interact, like at Series Reflection, which grants curse reflection, or Don't Raise Skin, a chest armor that straight up ignores the curse limit for all curses socketed into it. So how does curse on hit actually function? Curse on hit only apply the supported skill's curse to the enemy the skill hits, meaning that the area of effect that all curses have no effect. So if you want to curse more than 1 monster at a time with curse on hit, you need to use an area skill to apply the curse in the first place. An example. Let's say you're using Split Arrow as your main attack and want to take advantage of curse on hit and apply curses with your Split Arrow skill. You're then going to run into the problem that you would need to link Split Arrow with curse on hit and a curse in order to apply the curse with Split Arrow. This would of course take up 2 gem slots where you would really want to have something that increases the damage of Split Arrow directly instead. Luckily you don't have to do it this way. Instead you can use Herald of Ice or Herald of Thunder plus curse on hit and a curse. This is going to reserve 25% of your maximum mana, but the heralds are a great boost of damage anyways. Mechanically, Herald of Ice works like an if statement, meaning if you shatter an enemy, then Herald of Ice will make them explode and deal AoE cold damage to enemies nearby. It is this explosion you can take advantage of and have applied the curse linked to curse on hit. Similarly, Herald of Thunder works if you kill a shocked enemy, then Herald of Thunder will strike enemies around you with lightning bolts for a short duration. Here we can have the lightning bolts apply the curse linked to curse on hit. Herald of Ash cannot be used in the same way as the 2 other heralds, because the secondary effect applied by Herald of Ash to nearby enemies when the requirement is met is not a hit. It is damage over time and therefore not treated the same way and cannot apply curse on hit. Both the explosion and the lightning bolts from the 2 other heralds are both treated as hits and therefore can apply curse on hit. So what curse should you use with curse on hit? This question obviously relates to your build and what you're trying to achieve with your curse. I can list the curses and how they interact, and I can come with some common themes that people use, but ultimately you have to decide yourself. Poacher's Mark makes enemies less evasive and grant 100% increased flash charges when killed. Also gives a small amount of life and mana when hit by attacks, and a decent chance to get a frenzy charge when killed. Assassin's Mark make enemies take increased extra damage from critical strikes. Also the enemy has an additional chance to receive critical strikes. They grant a small amount of life and mana when killed, and a decent chance to gain a power charge when killed. Warlord's Mark curse enemies to reduce their stun and block recovery. They have an additional chance to be stunned. They also grant a 2% life and mana leech when hit, and a decent chance to gain an endurance charge when killed. Elemental Weakness curse enemies with negative percentage elemental resistances. This is the best overall elemental debuff curse. Conductivity curse enemies with negative percentage lightning resistance and a positive chance to be shocked by lightning damage. This is the best lightning resistance debuff curse. Flammability curse enemies to have negative percentage fire resistance and a positive percentage chance to be ignited by fire damage. This is the best fire resist debuff curse. Frostbite debuffs enemies with a negative percentage cold resistance and a positive chance to be frozen by cold damage. This is the best cold resist debuff curse. Despair curse enemies to have a percentage negative chaos resistance and a positive percentage damage from damage over time effects. It also adds a flat amount of chaos damage to hits against cursed enemies. This is the best chaos resist debuff curse. Vulnerability curse enemies to take a percentage increased physical damage. They also have a chance to bleed when hit by attacks. They have a chance to be maimed for 4 seconds when hit by attacks. They take increased physical damage from damage over time. Projectile weakness. Projectiles will pierce cursed enemies. Hits on cursed enemies have an additional chance to knockback. They also take a percentage increased damage from projectile hits. Punishment. Cursed enemies grant more melee physical damage on hit. Cursed enemies grant increased attack speed on melee hit. This is a buff applied for a base duration of 4 seconds. If you decide to use Hell Defies as the way to apply Curse on Hit, then I strongly advise you to use Ice Bite to support that skill as well, considering that you get free frenzy charges basically of using Ice Bite as well, and you're probably gonna link it into a 4-socket item anyways. Opal Storms is another popular way to apply Curse on Hit. Considering its base duration of 6 seconds and it strikes every second, every strike is considered a unique spell being cast, therefore it has 6 chances to apply Curse on Hit. If you're going to use Opal Storms to apply Curse on Hit and you're doing it in a 4-link and you don't know what else to put in there, then I can suggest Power Charge on Critical Strike. This pretty much gives you free power charges. Another way to apply Curse on Hit is using Blade Vortex and Castman Damage Taken. So every time the Castman Damage Taken threshold is met, a Blade Vortex will automatically be cast, and that Blade Vortex can apply the curse linked to Curse on Hit. This is of course most useful for melee characters. This pretty much wraps it up for this video, and I hope it was helpful in answering any questions you might have had about Curse on Hit and interactions. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments and I will help you as soon as I see it.